everyone. Demystifying AI, that's the topic I was given by Eldo. So I was joking with him that maybe next year you will give me a topic where how we all lost job with AI. So I'm looking forward to the next TiEcon event. With that said, this is the last masterclass of the day. There's a Bharat going out. So all I ask of you is attention. All I need is your attention for the next 45 minutes where let's collectively try to demystify what AI is. Because the other day when I was showcasing some of the AI tools, my kid said, Papa, is this magic? So I wanted to ensure that we all realize that this is not magic, there is actual math behind it. So let me tell you a story. 7 years ago, 2017, June, two guys at Google, they met each other over a cup of coffee. And one guy, he was working on a Google Translate. You know, Google has so many products, right? So one of the products is Google Translate, where you can easily translate from English to Malayalam, Malayalam to Hindi and all that stuff. But he was finding it very, very hard with German. German, those who are interested in migrating to German, I'm sure there's a lot of German classes. So you have A, B and the highest level. So he was really struggling with it and he was telling another colleague, and all of these guys were researchers at Google Brain to be specific. Another guy walked in, overheard this conversation, just like how we have conversations around the breakout times in TiE. And in 6 months, they put together a research paper that literally changed AI as we know it now. Now, AI is just a new term. Neural networks, machine learning has been there for a long time. I remember the first time I chanced upon so-called magic was around 15 years ago when the company that I was working for got a software called Dragon Naturally Speaking. And one of the business we were trying to break in was changing conversations, spoken words into text. So I was tasked with leading that, and I still remember having a microphone that pilots use, when fighter pilots use, and putting a headset and trying to talk it back. So you had to read paragraphs for hours for it to understand, and it will still get everything wrong. So machine learning has been there forever, but collectively we all are talking about AI thanks to ChatGPT. So what changed? There was a talk about AI winter in 2015 that nothing is going to happen, people are wasting money. There were a lot of criticism that Google is spending millions on Google Brain project, that it's not going to see light at the end of the tunnel and all that stuff. So what happened? As I said, all I'm asking you is your attention. December 2017, 6 months after that initial ragtag team met, they published a research paper titled "Attention is All You Need." And this, ladies and gentlemen, changed AI as we know it. Still wondering what it is? And just for information purposes, there were about 3 Indians, and the lead guy was an Indian. It's a ragtag team of everyone from around the world, Ukrainians, Germans, and they all came out with this, that what we know of today as ChatGPT and all the other translators. So what actually happened? Not getting into the technicalities of it, but simply put, they invented something called transformers. Okay, fine, good term, but what is a transformer? Yeah, one of the guy who named it Transformer was a fan of the movie Transformers, so of course that's how the name came. And attention is all you need. If you look at it, they were all Beatles fans, and there's a very famous song, "All You Need Is Love," so they just added attention to it. I'll come to it, why the word attention, I'm keeping on harping on it. So a transformer basically pays attention to every word's role and relationship in the whole context. Simple encoding, decoding, I'll not get into the details, but for you to understand, just read this line one by one. I arrived at the bank after crossing the river. The image, is it wrong if you go word by word? I arrived at the bank. It can be a physical bank, right? After crossing the river, there was a river near the bank. So pre-transformers model or pre-attention is all you need. We had recurrent neural networks, and the problem with recurrent neural networks was that it could only go word by word. And with languages, you know what we mean and what somebody else understands. I mean, those with families know how important communication is. What you tell your wife, you have to be very careful, right? So, if you read this line by line, you get a different context. So, what changed and why are we all talking about AI is the Transformers model could actually contextualize the whole sentence, paragraphs, books, millions of documents, and it will still understand what was contextually meant. So Transformers was able to understand that what the person meant was actually he has crossed the river and he's sitting in the back. This, ladies and gentlemen, changed everything as we know it. And this just not only for text, it is applicable for images, videos, audios. At the core of encoding, the transformers, and of course, you know, you have heard of NVIDIA, how stock prices are separated. I mean, NVIDIA was in the right place because this needed a lot of computing power. So GPUs, so it's all connecting the dots, right? GPUs was only used for gaming, and some people started using it for mining cryptocurrencies and all that. But nobody at that point thought that GPUs will help transformers reach the scale it has reached today. I mean, when GPT-3 was released, if I remember, it was around 42 terabytes of data that it got trained. I mean, it basically crawled the entire web, everything out there. So I hope I have demystified AI, and you're all going to go and say it's not magic, it's purely math. I'm not going to get into how transformers work technically and all that stuff, but this is for you to understand how 8 people changed AI as we know it. And I'm hoping Christopher Nolan picks up on this thread and probably gets a next movie out there. So I had put this presentation 2 days ago, and my idea was to ask all of you who have ChatGPT to search who is David Mayer. And you probably would have heard about it online that it threw an error. But unfortunately they fixed it last night and I got an update. So before I sent it to Endo, I just updated it. So this is to show you that there are still guardrails in place. It is not a magic box that you open and you get everything that you want out there. Now, everyone knows this, right? Unless you were in a coma for last 4 years, you have used ChatGPT. Your kids probably are using it for their homework. The teachers are probably using it to create questions. The users are exceptional. Only creativity is what is limiting you from thinking through what you want. So, what are the users or applications of transformers? Very briefly, yes, text generation, image generation, contextual understanding. If you use Alexa at home or Siri on your phones, right? You ask, how's the weather tomorrow? It will contextually understand, and you can ask, can I go without an umbrella, right? So the follow-up questions, it understands the context. So earlier, Kamath and I were catching up, and we were talking how Kamath is the Carnivore of Can, and he said there is another word for it, Konanda Impala. So each language hits you differently, and Transformers sort of understands what you mean. So ladies and gentlemen, concept, I'm sure all of you have understood. If you have questions, feel free to ask me. Because it's the fag end of the day, I want you to make sure you're hitting me with questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer. But the title is From Concept, how you can use it for your advantage, how you can use it for competitive advantage. I've just listed, I'm sure all of you are smarter than me, you would have heard about all these examples out there, right? Crazy use cases. Earlier in the day, I heard one speaker saying, in startup world, everybody will have an idea, it's all about execution. I think we need to change that. With AI, anybody can execute. going forward, it's how unique your idea, that is what's going to matter, right? You're actually having a superpower in your hand if you know how to use it. You have a 100x employee on your phones. So the idea that you have, if you had struggled with executing it 2 years ago, funding was not coming through, right? It's not going to be a problem anymore. What I am personally upbeat about is what it can do on the healthcare sector. All of you will be having your smartwatch, the kind of data it throws up. Today morning when I got up, it alerted me that I have not had my quota of sleep. Maybe I was nervous for this presentation, so I only slept for 4 hours. So it told me, make sure today you are catching up on your sleep, right? The Apple Watch data, I'm sure Apple is going to come up with how they're going to productize this. Healthcare is going to change by leaps and bounds, and I'm personally excited. Of course, stroke is something that I personally, a couple of family members, and I feel that in another 1 or 2 years, most of the funded startups from AI that are going to hit so-called big time is going to be from the healthcare sector. This is where I thought I'll have some shameless plug and tell you what I do, so that you can contextualize and understand. So I come from investment research background. The startup, we track about 45,000 publicly listed companies worldwide. We use all sorts of whatever tools are available at our disposal. So there's something called earnings results that comes out every 3 months for all publicly listed companies in the US. We figure out when they're going to have their earnings call. So we have something called an earnings calendar, and some crazy use cases for earnings calendar. There are some high frequency trading firms that use it to figure out if the company is changing the date. So for example, if Apple regularly has its 4th quarter earnings call on December 1st, and suddenly Apple decides to have it on December 10th, they get that, okay, there's a pattern break, maybe Apple is not doing well, so they want to delay the earnings results, so let's monitor that. And then we capture the audio, earnings audios, using speech to text. These are all part of AI, it's all an umbrella term. We stream the text real time. Again, high frequency trading firms, hedge funds, they use this data, they throw in their own algorithms of sentiment analysis, they figure out, is the management lying through their nose, or are they telling the truth, how hard the questions are from the analyst, are the analysts happy. So a lot of use cases. And the biggest advantage that we have brought into the table for an analyst in Wall Street, there's something called an earnings peak season. So all the companies out there will cram all their earnings call or earnings results in that 1 to 2 weeks. Want to ensure that they don't have time to crunch the numbers and figure out how the company is doing. So if you are a Wall Street guy, those are 24-hour work days for you. Earnings audio is typically 60 minutes in length, and it will have about 15 pages of text. To go through that text, understand what the company said, and prepare a research report, whether you're on the buy side or on the sell side, you have to literally burn the midnight oil. And that's why all the interns at Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan get paid well, but they all burn out. So with what we have done with generative AI is converted that, and we give them bullet points from the management and Q&A session. And what used to take them 10 hours to go through one earnings call, they are able to do it in 10 minutes. So it's a problem of abundance. You are able to analyze more. You are able to figure out more companies for your alpha generation. So other than the S&P 500s of the world or the Nifty 100s of the world, there are so many gems out there. So because you don't have resources, you don't have time to put resources, and analyzing all that is going to change. That's the advantage with generative AI and all the tools that we use. So people say this is going to take away the jobs. No, it's actually going to create more opportunities for people. More companies are going to get unearthed, and more for everyone ultimately. So all of you are here thinking how I can adopt AI to my startup, to my SME, to my business. The questions that you really need to ask is, whatever tools you have come across, how is this useful? Is it going to help me reduce my current cost, or is it going to help me generate more income? That's the first question you need to ask. Most of the startups, if you see now, are focused on, oh, hey, I have reduced my employee count by 70%. Acha, theek hai, but are you increasing your business? So focus on where you find this is going to be useful, and also figure out how far this will scale. There are a lot of apps out there, and I see a lot of enterprises wasting 6 months, 9 months trying out something and saying, no, this we can't scale with this. So before you deploy any apps or any AI tools, please ask all these questions and have your brainstorming session. Maybe you can have the brainstorming session with ChatGPT itself. It will tell you whether this is useful for your business or not. And the next one is, how do you deploy this? Pretty straightforward, and once you get the results, this is amazing. And again, this last point is very important. Amazing, but do you have a product market fit for that? So please think through these questions before you decide whatever tools you want to adopt for your AI. This year was all about Gen AI apps, and about 50% of the generative AI apps out there in the market today are focused on content generation. You have all these deep fakes coming. The other day in Instagram, I saw Marvel movie being remade in Malayalam. Thanos was Mohanlal, and all the top actors were brilliantly done. Correct. So 50% of stuff out there today is focused on content generation, and then you have consumer assistance, your ChatGPT, and you have EdTech. I'm sure all of you have heard about Khan Academy. Khan Migo is something that is very useful for kids out there. It's basically personal tutor for the kid. It's going to completely change the way kids learn. The problem is we have so few teachers and so many students, and this is absolutely going to change kids who struggle with math. Khan Migo is designed in such a way that it doesn't tell you that you're wrong. If you have typed the wrong answer, it will ask you why you got that answer. And as you explain, you intuitively will learn, okay, this is why I made an error. And TikTok, ByteDance, they have also come up with a very good EdTech app called Got. So, even in China that's happening. And, of course, a lot of dating apps. And, I think the other day I was seeing Google Play Store, the number one app that they have listed last year was an app where you take a picture and it will style you and tell you which will fit you nicely and which shirt you should wear and all that stuff. So these are the current generative apps that are getting all the eyeballs or attention. I'm sure every other week there is a new announcement in AI, and I feel like I'm back in 10th grade trying to catch up last 2 years with all the stuff that's happening. There's this famous saying that sometimes nothing happens in decades and decades happen in a year. So that's the kind of shift that is happening in tech world. So much stuff to catch up to. Just last week, Claude came up with a totally new model that probably can replace Transformers as we know it. People have already started figuring out what next. It's been 6 years since Transformers came. What next can come? Maybe we'll come up with magic. We'll never know. I'm sure this is what most of you are here for. So I've taken the liberty to go to Anderson Horowitz. It's a famous VC firm, and they update this list every 6 months. These are the top 50 Gen AI web products by total number of unique monthly hits. So this data is as of September. I'll have this presentation available offline as well. So just look at it. How many apps that you use. If you can list out at least 10 from this 50, you are an AI superstar. Trust me. If it is less than 5, you need to seriously reconsider your AI approach. How many of you have at least 10 apps? Okay, one person, 2. I'm not asking how many of you have 1 because everyone will have ChatGPT. But what about the others? So I personally use at least 6 from this. Okay, people are counting. So my personal will be Perplexity, Claude, Poe, Hugging Face, Midjourney, yeah. One more slide I have. So this was the web AI. This is again the top 50 mobile apps that use Gen AI.
These are all completely AI or on a co-pilot, partly human?
Mix. So I mean, there is nothing technically speaking that is completely AI. There is definitely, um, I'm sure you would have heard of the term HITL, human in the loop. So a lot of pre-transformers, a lot of work was done. I'm sure all of you know CAPTCHA, right? Yeah, you will be asked to identify the bridge, the traffic light. You are all being used as labelers. You are the humans in the loop when they were trying out the neural networks. So if you thought that was a security feature, good for you. I mean, how many of these apps do you have on your phone right now? These are the top 50 Gen mobile apps that the world is using. If you have, again, same, if you have less than 5, we consider. If you have more than 10, meet me after this.
Also, one thing, do these apps consume less space in the mobile? Are they expected to be lean and more computational power and GPUs?
Yes. Because you generally tend not to download a heavy app. So 2024, ladies and gentlemen, was all about Gen AI, right? We are talking about AI being democratized for the greater good of humans. But some of the less talked about things out there in the public is the trust, the ethics, and the regulations that we all need to put together when AI actually takes over the world, literally or figuratively saying. We also need to look at how AI can be used for sustainability purposes, energy, and all that stuff. And of course, all of us are still humans in the loop, so we are all using AI for our benefit. But what about next year? Any idea? Oh, I changed. Yeah. So next year is all going to be agentic. The word that you hopefully, I hope I'm right. Next year you're all going to hear about agentic apps. Agentic this, agentic that. Basically, as I said, as a founder or a startup owner or an SME, you will have 100 resources on your phone. It can reflect on your question, it can plan for you, it will collaborate with other agents. Literally, the use cases, as I said, it's the ideas that are going to be more important going forward. The execution part will be taken care. You just say, I want to create a mobile app for fashion. That's the only thing expected out of a human. The agentic app will go figure out what you want. It will talk to Amazon and have its API integrated to your app. It will go figure out from get you images for that. It will launch itself on Google Play Store, Apple Play Store, and you can sit back and relax. So I'm actually looking forward. I'm a very lazy guy to begin with, so I look forward where I do about 1 hour or 2 hours of work every day, and then let my agent or my other half take care of all the work out there for us. Yeah, I mean, again, glass half full, glass half empty. You have all these big voices saying 80% of work in 80% of jobs will be taken over by AI. I'd say take it with a pinch of salt. We as humans have always seen disruptions. Yeah, definitely definitely there's going to be disruption, no doubt about it. But we are going to evolve as humans. So I'll say AI plus HI is probably going to take over your job, not just AI. And HI stands for human intelligence. So you need intelligence to know how to use the AI tool in front of you, right? If you don't know how to use it, there's no point having all the resources with you. 2026 and beyond. I think that's when the media will start talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence. So be prepared for that, where the intelligence that the evolution that we have done as humans, the brain power that we have, probably 2030, I think most of us will be talking about how to colonize Mars and who should go from here, along with Elon Musk on his first mission and all that stuff. But it's going to be for the good. Again, please understand, AI is not magic, it is math, and transformers or that particular model is what made AI today, and we are all talking about AI, but it's been there forever. I have worked on a lot of machine learning applications myself. So one of the capstone I did as a AI product manager 10 years ago was labeling scan images and figuring out whether this person has asthma or not. So it's been there, but the leap that we are all talking about happened in 2017. 8 people who were brilliant research scholars at Google struggled with machine translation, and that led to a research paper that was published in December 2017. And people who were smart enough, like Sam Altman, picked up on that and they used that to build OpenAI. People who saw that paper but thought this is not going to be useful probably are still figuring out that. So, to end, the business models that you're currently having are going to get disrupted. That's it. So, figure out what new business models you can come up with, what new tools you can come up with. Ultimately, problem solving, helping a human, addressing all their needs is going to be still there, but it is going to be supercharged. So, I hope I have demystified AI, and you're not going to think it is magic going forward. I'm ready to take questions, but if you want to ask my agent, I'm more than happy to have him also answer for you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions?
How do we monetize this? So one of the quickest application what people are trying to attempt is, let's say we take something like legal documents. There are legal circulars that gets issued almost every day. And there's nobody who's keeping sense a track of chronological order of all these circulars, etc. Now, just like what you've done in the earnings call, I just checked the website of AlphaStreet. So when you do that, one option is to give that for free, and then kind of spoil the users. Let's say lawyers, and lawyers are the last ones who will pay for technology, because the first 5 years of any lawyer's profession, they just trained to just search for a lot of documents, which if they knew technology, they could have cleared up and they could have done high value jobs. Now to disrupt that particular space and spoil them with technology, how do we propose it? You can't do a paid app there. Most of them have tried those models, digitize codes, digitize this thing, they're not adopted to that. So do we give something like AlphaStreet for free, get them to use it, and then slowly charge freemium? Is that the way, or what is your thought?
Yeah, I think you have answered. So there are already startups disrupting the legal sphere. There is this famous show called Suits, right? The legal guys. So the hero of that is Harvey Specter. So there is this startup that's pretty well funded called Harvey AI that just does.
I'm talking about Indian situation and non-enterprises. The legal councils are getting very techified. So like Spotdraft and all have captured that enterprise in-house legal counsel market. But in general, let's say you want to know what has been the stand of the Kerala High Court on a particular litigation. There is no chronological order.
Okay.
And you will waste 3 months trying to research it. But if that's available free or on a paid basis, you can save a lot of productive time.
Yeah, Vakil Search, Indian Coach, Indian Law, these are some names that I come across doing, if I understand your question right, they basically get all the end of day legal submissions from all the courts in all of India, and they have a subscription model where lawyers can just search and get all that.
So what will AI do on that layer?
So simply, let's say a High Court of Kerala judgment runs into, let's say, 500 pages, correct? So what a lawyer who's an intern does is he's asked or she's asked to go through the whole 500 pages, and the senior lawyer needs a report next day. So that can be put into the generative AI, because transformers will understand the context. So what probably will take you 2 days to go through those 500 pages, it will understand the whole stuff in 10 minutes and will give the senior lawyer a better draft than what a intern can do in 10 minutes.
So the opportunity is in building that transformer for a vernacular use case which is domain specific.
So
legal, Malayalam and transformer.
Yes. Don't try to build foundation models. That involves a lot of cost. So the foundation models are being built by all the biggies out there. You have Elon Musk building Grok, Sam Altman building OpenAI. And you see this.
But they won't build for India. So Sarvam AI is building that foundation. That's what you're referring to. Take Sarvam's foundation block, build on that.
Yes. Okay. I probably didn't understand your question, but if you're asking me, do you want to build a foundation model? No need to build a foundation model. Take a foundation model out there, load all the documents, and customize the prompting in such a way that you get the answer. See, ultimately, you are the expert in that industry. So if I get that 500-page legal document, I'm not a lawyer. I won't even know what question to ask for it to give me a brief. Maybe I'll ask, okay, read this as a senior lawyer and give me pointers for my next case. Correct? So prompting is something that you need to productize. So to answer your question, prompting will only be done by experts or subject matter experts in that field. I or somebody else who's not a lawyer will not be able to do it. So build in such a way that somebody logs into your platform, they go to that particular filing, they already get customized questions that they probably will ask. So click, you get all the answers, and people will be willing to pay a subscription for that, for sure.
And the case for vernacularization, how big is that potential? Should we go down that route, or?
It depends, it depends on your use cases. I don't know how much of vernacular, I think everything in India is in English, right?
But most of the users prefer in the local language. In Karnataka,
okay,
the lawyers in that litigation, those areas, criminal law litigation, they prefer Kannada.
Okay,
so
there are enough big translators out there that will accurately capture that vernacularization. Again, you need to see whether there is a product market fit. Is there a real need where somebody will pay 500 rupees a month to get these in my local language? If you see a product market fit, go ahead and build it. See, whether it is AI, whether it is AGI, whether it is machine learning, ultimately a startup success depends on product market fit. If you don't have a product market fit, even if you spend crores or millions, and nobody is going to buy your product, there's no point. So if there is product market fit, so if you're asking, is there a product market fit? I don't know. You need to see for that. But if there is a product market fit, yes, getting the vernacular thing in place will probably be 1 week's job for you.
I was trying a couple of days ago, and it's actually quite scary. It's almost like censorship, new age censorship. Is that a cause of concern?
Good question. Whether it is left-leaning or right-leaning, it depends on your political spectrum. So there are enough left-leaning out there, and there are now Grok and all that is right-leaning. The second part of your question, yes, there are guardrails in place. There are censorships coming in. I'm pretty sure next few years we are going to see a lot of government involvement in trying to control AI, regulate AI. This is all the big tech revolutions every time happens. Obviously governments will react later, but censorship, yes. So David Mayer, there is rumor that he's the Rothschild, David Mayer Rothschild, and he probably got it censored. And thanks to one Redditor who figured it out, now OpenAI has to. So guardrails will be there, are in place. Don't be don't think that AI is going to not have political biases. It will be there depending on which spectrum you're looking at. So yeah, there was a lot of when Google released its last version in Gemini, there was a lot of backlash when somebody tried to generate an image. I'm not getting into the details because it's getting recorded. So you understand understood. But I think the focus going forward is going to be on a lot of AI regulations, and that's why you see the biggies out there trying to be part of the government so that they can regulate it the way they want it. but it is needed, right? So if you look at it, self-driving, we personally know how far Tesla has come with FSD, and the trucks that he's saying, there are about what 400,000 drivers in truckers in US. Do you really think even if he wants to overnight all these truckers? No, the government will come in and say regulate it in such a way that it coexists. So that's why I said the mass layoff, the 80% of jobs for 80. I don't think that's technically or practically possible. But yes, always keep in mind that there are guardrails that you are not aware of. So don't just go blindly thinking that this is true democratization of AI.
Yeah. If I have to build a use case, my app on top of a foundation model, right? So how do I account for unit economics to figure out the costing, say for a subscription model? As a builder, how do I understand the costing aspect of using this foundation model or building on top of that?
So you decide whatever foundation model you want to work on, right? And depending on the usage, basically it's the API hits that you have. It will tell you, most likely it will be in cents, depending on the usage, and you need to see whether there is a peak for you, whether there is a down drought for you, and it will most likely, to answer your question, yes, you will be able to figure out unit economics pretty easily once you build it. It will tell you how much. It's just if you are using AWS cloud, depending on your usage how much you get charged, right? You have a let's take consumer apps, right? You have a Netflix subscription. If you are the only one at home watching Netflix, you will take the 199 plan. But if you have 5 guys in your family, you will take the 799 plan and stuff. So unit economics is going to be very easy for you to figure out once you have taken a foundation model. There are a lot of good foundation models out there.
For me is that are we overusing LLMs for everything? For example, if I take a text classification task, the only thing that people seems to be doing is just prompting on LLM. But if you look at Hugging Face, there are so many specialized and so many models for doing variety of tasks. At least earlier, before the LLMs came on board, people were using Spacey or something else to figure out a little bit of it. Now it seems like, at least in Indian context, the art is totally lost. We are only focusing on this, whereas the world is continuing to build so many specialized models to address problems in their respective spaces. How do we catch up? Who is doing that? How can we come up to speed on that? Because even when I was looking at the academic institutions to see who are teaching stuff like this, every other course is scratching the surface on how to use an LLM or how to use a packaged AI model that is out there. So any insight on that would be of great help.
I'm glad you asked this question. I'm glad that people are aware of Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is this platform that people out there find unique use cases and they upload the model. It's for you to try it out. It's like the GitHub of AI. But as you rightly said, in India, if you look at LinkedIn, I post an update about 5 or 6 comments that I get as reply will all. I think all of us will soon realize that the person who's replying has actually used ChatGPT, right? Even in WhatsApp groups, people use ChatGPT, and it's so obvious that they are using ChatGPT, and that authenticity of that person, for all you know, is a very smart person. So yes, you are right. We are using it for all the wrong purposes, but the world out there, so many crazy ideas are getting executed. We need to really productize ourselves. We are being known for a services-based industry. I think that still somewhere exists in our main. We are always looking at, okay, how can I make a quick buck out of, I'll service this, I'll have this as a service. Okay, AI as a service. You have a bank, I'll come implement AI for you, give me this. No, you need to start thinking of products that are being built for unique Indian needs. What you see out there on Hugging Face is for the Western world, right? They have their problems and they are coming up with their solution. Anywhere in India, actually there are so many problems that can be fixed and can be monetized. But we are still, using ChatGPT, as you rightly said, for trying to make yourself smarter by commenting ChatGPT output or putting it on WhatsApp channel. So good observation, and yeah, Hugging Face is something that all of you should check out. And the other point you mentioned about universities, right? Yes, unfortunately, we are still, back in the day when I was in college, I learned a coding technology that was long, not in use. So I think the next generation is realizing that, and you see a lot of students in platforms like Coursera, Udacity, where up to the minute, and even Andrew Yang has come up with deeplearning.ai. That's a great resource. I mean, I have a subscription for deep learning AI. I mean, I don't need certificates, so I don't put it out there, but my weekend is spent on watching all his videos and trying to figure out what new stuff is coming and all that stuff. So yes, university is not going to help you. You have to look at all these online resources, and to kids, definitely ask them to try Khan Migo. I hope that answers the
Can
question.
you repeat the mentions? One is, who were you following on weekends?
Andrew Yang. So he has something called deeplearning.ai and Hugging Face. Khan Academy, I'm sure all of you have heard, right? So he has come up with a bot called Khan Migo that customizes for the student depending on what he or she knows. Yeah, go ahead.
As a business owner, where all can I use AI in my business? Which are the applications where I can use?
I mean, there are enough applications out there for whatever problems you are facing. If it's marketing, there are enough. So there is this interesting thing that I observed. Do you know which was the first Kerala brand that used AI models for their ad? I tweeted it out to Jiku of Manorama, and he had that as a news 2 years ago, if I remember.
There was an ad of Shah Rukh Khan during Diwali by Cadbury's.
2 years ago.
2 years back.
Kalyan Silks. So the Manorama last page ad, I could figure out that was a AI generated ad. So Jiku had that as a news item in Manorama. And Coca-Cola, for its Christmas season now, it is using completely AI made videos. They have so much of budget, they can hire the most expensive model out there. So I was telling a friend who wants to become a model, when she grows up, I said, I don't think there will be models going forward. You don't need to be a model. And so the first thing that happened in Hollywood was all the screenwriters went on strike. You should not use AI for your script writing, right? So every industry is getting disrupted. So as a business owner, what are your problems? Where are you struggling with? Where are you struggling with hiring? 101% sure there are apps out there that will help you in all the problems that you have. See, marketing is going to see a sea change. I remember about 5 years ago, a friend of mine started a resort in Pollachi. So he wanted a traditional ad so that he can run it. He spent 1.5 crores, got models from Mumbai to fly down to his resort. They spent 4 days there to do a 30-second ad shoot. That's the kind of money he is burning. And today, or probably he'll take 10 minutes to create the same ad. All of you have Instagram, right? Reels, you make reels. 5 years ago, you needed to be an expert video editor to get the output that you're getting from your Instagram reels. I have my friend Nitin over here. He gets superb reels with his wife. He's an influencer. How long does it take for you to edit an Instagram reel?
10 minutes.
5-10 minutes. And the output is as good as a movie editor from 5 years ago. You're not realizing the power that you have in your hands. So anything that is a problem, I don't know what your problems are, so I'm not able to give you a specific answer, but you need to figure out what are your problems, and then you'll be able to get a solution for it.
How do you assure the authenticity of the output we are getting? How can we validate the authenticity of the output we are getting?
Good question. You have to take it with a pinch of salt. As I said, it's not a magician. It's a language model. It will have its biases. It will hallucinate. Mark my word, LLMs will hallucinate. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. So this is a prompting becomes very important. And I think there's a great deal for Malayalis because we are all good in English. Our grammar is really good, so you just need to use the creativity in making sure that the prompt that you use is very specific. So, sure, there are so many prompts. You just need to tell it, think you are the CEO of a fintech company and you are supposed to do a presentation. It will give you the output. No, I worked hard on this, okay? Don't think AI generated it. This was generated by AR, my daughter Aditi Radhakrishnan, not AI. So prompt engineering is something that you're going to, from software engineers, I think the next set of job descriptions that you'll see on LinkedIn will be prompt engineers.
You said Andrew Young and the two other things.
Hugging Face, Udacity, and Coursera. And Coursera had a Cyber Monday deal, 8,000 rupees for 1 year. You can learn as many courses as you can. So all the Google, Meta, IBM, everything is there. Official, you'll get official professional certificate.
So most of the organizations, be it startups or large scale businesses, have coders, be it content generation, everybody has started using AI. So there's a possibility of copyright. AI starts from every other website, may code generate somewhere. How are the other organizations dealing with copyright or content rights of somebody else? Authors, it can start with authors and reviews. Is there a policy coming out?
Yes, most big corporates, they don't use off-the-shelf LLM models. They have on-premise LLMs being deployed or open source ones. You have Llama, you have Anthropic, is a big company, Cloud. So these are ones that you can have it on your prem or on your device, and it will take only documents that you feed in, and it will give you output only from the documents that you feed in. So the example I gave you, right? So a transcript runs into 8-10 pages. Let's say Muthoot Finance had its earnings call. 60 minutes, 30 minutes was management discussion, 30 minutes was Q&A. Our speech to text gives about 95% accuracy. But we actually have humans in the loop or editors who listen to it and make corrections because we are dealing with financial data. It can go wrong. 50 can be 15 or 50. So the cleaned output that we are very sure is 99.9% accurate is then fed into our engine, and the Gen AI output that you'll get, the bullets from that, we are very sure is accurate. But if you ask a public ChatGPT or something, the other day my daughter had her homework, so she just scanned the question that the teacher had written and it gave an output and she was writing it. So I just saw and I know it was wrong. So I said, it is wrong. No, I believe ChatGPT more than you. So I said, fine. Next day she came back and said the teacher marked it wrong. So you can't really trust it. It can hallucinate to answer the question. To your question, yes, you have on-prem, and we don't use public LLMs, and we have as a policy, we don't sell our data to companies that say they are going to put it on public LLMs for their use cases. So we have, other than the AlphaStreet AI platform, which is subscription-based, we also, most of our revenue is coming from selling the API. So we have converted all these data into APIs, and hedge funds, Wall Street firms, high-frequency trading firms. There's this, we are working with 2 universities in the US, 2 students who reached out to us, and they said, we are doing our PhD and we need S&P 500 companies' audios for the last 5 years. So I said, okay, fine. Since it's a university, I said, what for? The thesis they are working on is they are actually doing audio fingerprinting. So if I'm lying through my nose, CEOs sometimes bullshit, right? So if some question comes, so they want to figure out if using this audio fingerprinting, they can figure out whether this guy was telling the truth or not after a period of time. Yeah, so 3 years ago, this was the answer he gave. Did he really do that? And can we really trust him? So probably they'll come up with a CEO index or CEO authenticity number or whatever. So use cases, as I said, it's the ideas that matter. We have tech at your disposal to do whatever crazy ideas you want. And their advisor is an ex-CAA director. He had actually done human intelligence. He is the guy who goes to those, what you see in movies, right? Ask questions and figure out whether this guy is lying. So he's a human lie detector, and they're taking his inputs and trying to use this audio to see whether this person is nervous. So when you're lying, probably there is some change in your tonal voice and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm personally looking forward to what comes out of that.
And then use case of
Yes.
Your videos, record videos, and using NLP is possible.
Correct.
We have one more question.
Hello. Yeah, hi sir. So I'm representing an AI solutions company. So we are doing a product called DB, which does the conversation AI process. It will communicate with the databases and get real-time insights for. We are specializing for sales companies or the health sector, for example. A very good example for a Kerala High Court. You said for a big bunch of data, we can get the insights quickly. So, what do you think of the Indian trend of the businesses adapting the AI?
Good question. So just with any enterprises, so there is this famous presentation that Ben Evans, he's a ex-VC at Anderson Horowitz. So he every year he comes up with a presentation. So till last year the title was Software Eats the World, and this year it is AI Eats the World. And in it he says that BCG or somebody has done a research. Out of 100 people who tried out ChatGPT, only 10 are continuing to use it. How many of you use ChatGPT today?
Complexity cloud.
Today.
As in today.
As in today. Yeah. So the use cases, right? So like any big enterprise, you try to bring in a new solution or software, there are going to be issues. So CTOs or CIOs were asked, they said out of 100 people they asked, only 10% have gone from pilot stage of AI implementation to actual life. The rest 90% are still in pilot stage. So just like enterprise software, this is going to take time in large enterprises. And then of course, people who are worried about their jobs will probably try to undermine their, this is not good sir, I'm better than this. So you are going to face issues. That's why I said product market fit is very important. If it is so obvious that the CEO itself will drive the change, you're going to see better product market fit. As I said, instead of trying to reduce cost at a company, go there and say you're going to help them increase the sales. And that's where the interest will come in, right? So the solution that we have at AlphaStreet, we are not taking away anyone's job or trying to reduce headcount. We are saying with our solution, your analyst will be able to churn out better reports. We'll be able to analyze more companies. If he is able to analyze 100 companies, the same guy will be able to do 1,500 companies in the same time frame. So what's in it for me? I'm able to make more money out of it. But if you're going and saying, no, you know what? Out of 100 people, I'll remove all 70 people from your company with my AI solution. You're not going to, even if the CEO wants it, probably you're not going to get the deal because humans, understand, they'll try to, yeah.
One last question.
Do we need to concern about the impact of AI on the natural human intelligence?
Good question, sir.
And recently Oxford has chosen a brain rot.
It's a double-edged sword. You need to, humans, we have always evolved. So if all our current problems are taken care by somebody else, what are we going to do? We are going to find meaning, right? Viktor Frankl famously said, finding meaning in your life is life's ultimate purpose. We are going to become sharper. There are not going to be any average students. So I was an average student. I struggled with math. Now, if you ask me, probably an IIT JEE question, I'll just take ChatGPT and I'll get you the output, right? So we are going to evolve as humans, sir. But yes, there is going to be temporary disruption for sure. Most of our current human intelligence is going to be taken care by somebody else. So what are we going to do? An existential question will come. But that has come all along in our history, right? So that's why I said probably 10 years from now we'll be talking about how to colonize Mars, what to do on the other planet, maybe spatial exploration. We have all been seafarers, that's how we discovered so many continents. So we'll find some other problems for us to address, and our current problems probably is going to take care of agentic and robotics and all that stuff. So my wife the other day was saying, you may lose your job, but I still have my job because nobody's going to clean the utensils, nobody's going to take care of the case. I said sorry, and I showed a couple of videos of robots taking care of that. So even she's nervous now.
This is likely to open up the pattern about legal cases,
Yes.
Recently, Punjab University, one student was, university failed him. Then he went to court. He said it is against natural justice.
Yes.
Then the university reversed the decision. So they don't want to fight to it.
So, good question, sir. Again, regulations are going to come in, and smart universities in the US have already changed the way they ask questions. So, the other day, I'm doing a machine learning specialization from Stanford. So, I thought, probably I can cheat. No, the questions they ask you is just an image, and you can't, unless you are very good at it, you can't use an LLM. So, I'm sure in Indian universities, I heard Amrita has already changed the way they do their proctored monitoring courses and all that stuff. So the current way of education itself is going to change. Right now it's rote learning, what I keep telling my kids. You're just learning by doing this, but that's not going to be the need of the hour going forward. So good question. Yes, I think next few years the focus definitely from governments is going to be on all the guardrails and regulations and all that. So the David Mayer example that I put definitely is a good use case. But as to question on human intelligence, we have to evolve. We have to find purpose other than what our current problems are. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for all the attention that you gave me, and attention is all you need. Thank you.